Good morning and welcome to the Lucidez podcast, where I explore everything because everything's connected. And today I'm going to share the end of my 3-day fast before I go and eat. And what I'd like to share is this isn't my first 3-day fast. I did many when I was very sick a few years ago and found them to be immensely helpful. And then it's been, I bet, 3 years since I've done a 3-day fast. I've done a few 1-day fasts here and there, and always find them very powerful. And so this 3-day fast, as I just finished, I just got done. I call it saying my prayers. Basically, I sit and talk to my altar, and my prayers are a bit like a dialogue, conversation. I say things, I hear things, I say things, I hear things. And what struck me most deeply was at the very end, I've just said, and oftentimes in these dialogues, in these conversations that I have, my prayers, my types of prayer, I say things that I didn't know, but when I say them, when the words come out, I realize, oh, that's actually true for me right now. And the words that came out at the end of my prayers, the last thing I said was, I think this is my first fast. And I thought, and I energetically felt in my body, in my heart, that was true. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And I could tell that something very profound happened in this fast that has not happened in any of the others. And I kind of sensed it throughout this fast, in that all the other fasts I've done were very much for my body. They were very much for my body. Not that my mind and my emotions and my spirit were not also affected, but they were very purposely for my body. I didn't realize there was a difference, and until now. And they were very helpful for my body. They were very important for my body. There was a lot of, just all the magic that the body does during a fast. So necessary, so wonderful. But this time it was, my body was very much engaged, but I feel like more deeply, this was the hardest fast I've ever done. And I was surprised. I was like, I am really, really struggling through this fast, because in the past they've been a bit easier. And I realized what was happening is there was a deep emotional fast happening, and also a deep spiritual fast happening. It was just really beautiful, and a deep mental fast that was happening. And the thing one of the things I thought about throughout it was, I was laying there at some point, and the other thing I did this time was, in the past, I've kind of had things planned that kept me moving a little bit. Not exercise, but just little things that would require me to get up and move. And this time I didn't. I did plan it that way. But when the mornings would come, I would immediately cancel everything for the day. And I spent the time just in my home, lying down a lot, or just sitting in a relaxed position and just letting my mind think, or listening or watching things that were very helpful. Like, there was one point where I was really struggling, and so I listened to a podcast on fasting to remind me all the benefits of it, because I was feeling pretty lousy. But what I'm getting at is this is my first fully presenced fast. And the word that came to me, I was like, why do we call it a fast? Like, what fast is often a speed, right? It's something that happens rapidly or quickly. And the answer, I don't know why, I haven't looked it up, but the answer that came from me was because fasting is like a quickening inside. I'm quickening I'm quickening the body. I'm quickening the emotions. I'm quickening the heart. I'm quickening the spirit. Meaning I'm I'm quickening all the processes of life, but in such a way that brings renewal. And that was a very different process than the ones I've done in the past. As I said, I've always just done physical fasts, and I didn't realize I wasn't fully emotionally, spiritually, and mentally also fasting. And it was deep. It was intense. I wouldn't say there's nothing earth shattering other than the experience was fully presenced. And I say that because during my prayers just now at the end, I realized that the broken that I've been trying to fix is the belief that I'm broken. And I said in my prayer, the words that came out were like, I am no longer broken. I'm fully presenced. I am no longer broken. I'm human. And if you've listened to some of the previous podcasts, I've mentioned this broken part that's being asked multiple times, like to heal the broken. And I realized today the broken is this belief I have that I'm broken, this non-acceptance of being human, of being me. So, and that belief of being broken has allowed me, almost as an excuse, not to be fully presenced. I haven't wanted to be fully presenced with the truth of who I am. It hasn't been enough. It's been too much, in all the wrong ways. I'm either too much or not enough. Same coin. Too much and not enough are the same coin, two sides of the same coin. So this is what I'd like to just sort of recap a few things I said in my prayers as I finished that were so beautiful and meaningful. Some of them I've had before, after my fasts, and some are new. So some of the same ones that I always have after a fast are just the incredible beauty of food. I mean, you just realize that food is so sacred, so special. I mean, literally sacred. It's literally feeding my life. Food, I would not be here without food. And it's just so this incredible, not just gratitude, but talk about open-hearted, just so open heart, so much gratitude, so much love, so much appreciation for food. And this incredible synchronicity is not the right word, but it almost feels like that, this synesthesia, I don't know, between food and my body and my mind and my heart and my soul. That the food that I eat becomes me, literally. And you really realize this when you fast and you don't have it. So just the immense power and beauty of food. And just recommitting to eating the foods that are healthy for my body, in the times and the ways that are healthy for my body. And not looking for that information from a magazine or even a podcast or whatever. Like certainly taking in information, but then knowing that my body's going to ask for things in certain ways at certain times that no magazine, no podcast could prescribe. So that's the first one. The second one is the incredible space so the words I used were releasing so that there's space and movement and freedom. There's strength and flexibility. And it's interesting that I would use those words, right? Because right now I feel so weak. I feel so tired. I feel kind of shaky. So But to know that somehow in this 3-day process of fasting, I have come to a place where there's more freedom, space, strength, flexibility, and power. And why that's so beautiful for me is because this fast, and I said it at the beginning, it was one of the things I said in my initial prayer. And I didn't purposefully say this. I just said, this will be an energetic fast. And I kind of thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder what I mean by those words. And it very much was in that I was so energetically attuned to what was happening. So energetically attuned to the energy of my body, the energy of my mind, which they were not always. I know they're totally related, but that doesn't mean they're always exactly the same. There were times where I could feel my body clearing and my mind was very congested. Or there were times when I felt my mind was very much busy clearing and cleaning something. Also the emotional body, feeling the energy of the emotional body, and all of them are working in this. I don't know why I keep wanting to use the word synesthesia, this synesthetic way, but yet they're still independent. It's like my two arms. Obviously, they're joined by the torso, but they're also independent. Or there were times when it was a spiritual cleansing. And the spiritual cleansing and the spiritual change in energy, I wouldn't even call it a cleansing, because the word cleansing is interesting to me because it feels like it's washed away. And that is true sometimes, like energy is cleansed, it's just kind of washed away. But I often think sometimes energy is just changes. Like something just shifts. It's like more of a shift or a change than a cleanse. And there were times of spiritual cleansing or spiritual, I said it again, so we're going to go with it, even though I have my own hang up with the word. There were times of spiritual cleansing where I realized where I thought I was in the wrong in the situation, that I needed to be better or be a certain way, or, it was me that was sort of had the hang up or had to fix the thing. And it was the deep spiritual message was like, no, you're seeing it just fine and you're doing just fine. And you just keep being you. And that was both a relief, but then also a little bit of that means if I keep being me and seeing it my way, then the situation isn't resolved. It isn't fixed. It continues in the way it is. And I was like, yeah, it was like life isn't here to fix all the problems, which is very interesting, isn't it? Because I very much would love to resolve all the problems in my life, in the world. And it was like, no, you just keep being you, and seeing your way of seeing it is correct, and your way of being is correct, and you just keep on doing that. Crazy. Okay, so then it was the energy and the food. The next thing was just this immense gratitude for all the teachers in my life, literally all the people who have really committed themselves to all various types of learnings and have taught me. And I just wouldn't be here without that. And again, just the power of them teaching what they know. And obviously I don't really, I would say I don't, no one has ever taught me what I believe is 100% truth. They've taught me their truth, and then I've taken that and garnered what it works for me on my journey. And so my path is definitely one with many, many teachers, and understanding that they're going to teach from their lens, and it's for me to decide what to take for my journey and move forward, which is what I try to do here, or which is what I actually don't try to do that. I'm just sharing my journey. But I'm hoping that in the sharing of my journey, that there's some little nugget or some little tidbit that resonates with you and yours, and because that's all you need sometimes is like the tiniest little seed, or this little nugget, this little gem or jewel, or this little ray of sunshine, and it makes all its, or this tiny little shift in perspective makes all the difference. And then suddenly you're you have what you need to take that next step in your life. And that's all. I think that's not all. I mean, that's immense to be able to, share that with each other. But to think that anyone is going to 100% buy into someone else's belief structure or views, I think is quite dangerous. Anyway, that had nothing to do with my fast. It's just me preaching. And then the last thing was just where I started, where I just realized that this is my first fast. This is my first true, fully presenced fast. And those were the last words I said. Oh, this is my first fast. And right before that, I had said, oh, I'm not broken. I'm fully presenced. And what I believed was broken was my humanness. I think I have carried some belief that being human is not truly being human. I mean, being human is so broken. And halfway through, it was really beautiful. About halfway through, I was thinking, I don't know. I think I want to quit. Like, maybe this just isn't the time to fast. And I don't know about this. And right then I got an email and I read it, and I just had this sweet little, joyous cry of relief and release and love. So what had happened, something had happened, between myself and someone else in one of the communities I'm a part of. And it just really hurt my feelings. They had said some sort of mean-spirited things about me. I wasn't there. Someone else told me. And it happened like 3 months ago. And I never said anything, and I kept going to the community, and it just was never the same for me. And the person even noticed it and was like, hey, are you okay? And I just said, I'm fine. I was just kind of doing like the cold, cool, standoff thing that I do when I'm hurt. And then about a week ago, I guess it was exactly a week ago, I finally was just like, I'm just going to let them know, like, that I was very hurt by what they said, even though I wasn't even there to hear it, but I had heard it secondhand, and it just hurt me that it had ever even really occurred. And so I sent an email and I just said, hey, I just wanted to finally let you know, this happened. I heard this. It was just really hurt because I thought we had a very sweet friendship. And, and I also said, this is not an email to let you know that I judge you, because I know I've done the same. I'm just letting you know how I feel. And I saw them after that. We had this community, we had an event, and nothing was said. We were just both polite with each other. But I was relieved in having said it, and just kind of was like, okay, our relationship is not what I thought it was. And it's, it's okay. I can find a way to work with this. So then yesterday, exactly a week later, halfway through my fast, I got an email from this person, and it was such a beautiful email. I mean, like I said, it was like both a weeping of joy and a weeping of release. And they just said, hey, you're actually totally right. I did say those things, and they were just like, they were just like, it was stupid of me. Nothing was actually really meant in it. It was a moment of frustration for me, where I was frustrated with 30 years of whatever their past is. And I probably, took it out on you a little bit. And they just said, I didn't even realize, how it impacted you. It was just very much. And just anyway, it was just very sweet. And they had missed the friendship that we had. And they did say, I didn't immediately reply because I didn't want to seem like I was just trying to fix it. Like, I wanted you to know that I'd really thought about my response and was taking the time to respond in a meaningful way. And I'm just hoping that my words can somehow be reparative. And it was just and it was interesting to me, because during a fast, you can't fight. You can't fight yourself. You can't fight life. You can't fight other people. You just don't have the energy. And so you're just kind of going with whatever. And I was glad that it came at that moment in the fast for two reasons. One, like I fully received the impact of the words and of the message and of the person. And that was really powerful because there was no fight. And then two, it sort of helped me. As I said, I was thinking about not fasting anymore. And something in me said, well, this is such an emotional, spiritual fast as well as physical. Like, what if you just keep going? And so I was like, okay, what if I just keep going? And I did, and I'm glad. But it was sweet to experience that email in a fully presenced state. I didn't, if I had received it in my like normal state, I would have quickly read through the whole thing and then maybe come back and read through it again, or I would have, and I didn't. I just read through it one time very slowly, reading each word, receiving each message, understanding, their presence and their energy and their intent behind it. So that was another really beautiful part. So what I want to offer here is, I know fasting is like really popular right now. And I was fasting before it was popular. And I was fasting because my body was telling me we need to fast. And so I fasted a lot in the past during that time when I was sick, before I knew any of this, before this fasting phase came up. And what I would say is, fasting has long been, I think it's long been a normal part of life. I don't think it was unusual in, 200 years ago and beyond. I don't think it was unusual to have a day where you didn't have food. I think it was just normal, and our bodies know how to deal with it. And they probably, obviously some science is showing they need it. But what I want to say is there's so much more to a fast than the body. Obviously the body is huge, and I don't discount that at all, because I do think my fasts, I don't quite know what they did because the doctors could never find anything wrong with me. But I do believe they saved my life. Well, so now that, like the physical life is saved, now it's more like, okay, can we save the emotional and mental and spiritual life? So what I would offer, if you're new to fasting, like just the act of physical fasting, like for a day, might be all you can do. It's just all you can worry about is just not eating. But if you choose to participate in fasting, to consider the fasting of the emotional and the mental and the spiritual body, and the quickening. When I say fasting, the word that I'm using right now, and I'm sure it will change, but for now it's the quickening of the body, the quickening of the emotions, the quickening of the mind, the quickening of the spirit. And quickening doesn't mean anything rapid, because as I said, it was a very, the first thing fasting does is remove all the anxiety. So it's a very calm state. But there's a quickening, an energetic quickening that happens during fasting that is really fascinating to me, because so much seems to be slowing down. You don't move as fast. You don't think as fast. You don't feel emotions as sharply. Oh, or no, that's not true. You don't feel emotions as harshly. I think the emotions are still sharp, like they're still there, but they're not harsh. In some way, that harshness has been removed from them, and you don't have the fight. Then maybe that's what it is. You don't have the fight, and so they just flow. So there's an energetic quickening of your whole being when you fast, even as the outward physicality of it looks very, very slow. And again, it's those moments of dichotomy that I find are so powerful and so beautiful. The dichotomy of me being in the exterior so slow the last 3 days, yet inside, not even inside, but energetically, a quickening of the body, the mind, the heart, and the soul. So that's my little nugget, is that if you choose to fast, to remember that it's more than just the body, if you're able to get there. Oh, this was the other thing. I had watched a video about fasting, in the past. And the person one of the people that was being interviewed, he said, don't forget your breath is like your best friend when you're fasting. And there were a couple of times when I realized, and I've never done that before in all my other fasts. This is the first time where I was present enough to realize something was energetically moving through in my body. I've experienced this in meditation all the time. So it wasn't new, but I had never used it in fasting. And that is, there are times where suddenly something is energetically moving and your heart rate picks up and your breathing picks up. And there were times where I felt this happening, and I guess, assisted or participated fully with the breath as I was rapidly breathing and my heart was beating fast. And I would just breathe and breathe. It's like it is in meditation, like something's moving, something's moving, something's moving. I don't know what it is. It doesn't really matter if I know or don't know what it is. And then it passes and the heart and the breathing go back to normal, but to also remember the breath. Remember the breath. I mean, hell, the breath is so sacred, right? Every breath is precious, as Eli Connor told me. Every breath is precious. What a life I would live if I remembered that. But I am human, so I am learning. So that's it. There's the end of my 3-day fast, and which I would consider my first, even though I've done it before. So I hope you all have a beautiful day. And if you choose to dive into fasting, into quickening, I hope your quickening is beautiful. Love you. Bye-bye.